Welcome back. Today we'll be discussing what should a Scrum Master do on their first job. Okay? So many people recommended this video, so I'm excited about it and I hope you learned something. If I'm providing value, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your family members and friends. You never know who might need this video. And yeah, let's get right into it. So when you first join a Scrum team, you need to familiarize yourself with the company policies. Take your time to thoroughly understand the company's culture, values, and processes. Okay? So from my experience, when I first joined one of my jobs, I was asked to do an ethics training and a phishing training. That was part of their company policies that everyone must finish an ethics and an phishing training, right? And then you might also need some accesses. You might need access to certain websites. Like for example, in my case, I needed access to Microsoft Team. I needed access to the Miro board. I needed access to a lot of the links that we use. So just make sure that you familiarize yourself with that. And if you don't know, always ask, right? Just ask, do I need any accesses? Um, Try to ask those questions to your supervisor or, you know, your manager, whoever is there. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And then secondly, make sure that you touch base with your supervisor on company standard Scrum files, just to ensure that you're reviewing everything that they want each Scrum Master to review. And then also discuss the expectations. Ask them what are their expectations for you in this role. Make sure that this question is answered explicitly so that tomorrow they don't say you didn't do what they asked you to do. Make sure that it's written somewhere and you familiarize yourself with that document, and yeah, you just get into it, ease yourself into the role. And if you don't understand what they're asking you to do, ask questions and ask for training. Don't be afraid to ask. If you don't ask, you will not receive. So make sure you speak, you ask. All right, let's go to the next. So when you first join a company, make sure that you're observant. Make sure that you're observing what everyone is doing, especially your team members. Make sure that you're asking for requests to join those meetings. If they have an existing Scrum Master on the team, make sure that you attend all of those meetings. Attend the daily Scrum, the retrospective, the sprint planning, everything, okay? Depending on how long that Scrum Master is going to be there and what time period you got in. Maybe you got in at the beginning of the sprint or the end of the sprint. If it's at the end of the sprint, even better, because you'll be able to attend retro, sprint review and everything, okay? So when you join these meetings, I want you to evaluate the team members' existing practices. Okay, evaluate the way they talk to each other. Are they respectful to one another? Do they look afraid? Are they transparent? Right? Are they a team where they like to help each other? Right? Evaluate those things. Also evaluate their workflows. Are they dependent on so many teams? What kind of tools do they use? Are these tools effective? Do they need to incorporate other tools to help the developers excel at their jobs? Make notes and also compare from your previous experience the tools that helped you, and maybe you could even recommend that. All right, and ensure that you're observing for 2 to 3 days. Please don't go past these days, because then you're not really being proactive. Okay, it's recommended 2 to 3 days for you to observe. Then identify areas of improvement and gather insights from team members to understand their needs. Focus mainly on outcome, flow, and competency. So outcome, you should focus on like solutions, right? What kind of solutions are they bringing for their customer? What kind of functionality are they bringing for their customers? Is this a high value functionality? Is this something that the customers are not really happy about, find out those informations, get that data, okay? Get that historical data, get data on their velocity. How has this team been doing? Have they been meeting their sprint goal? Have they been falling short every sprint? Are they overcommitting? Are they planning way too much? Do they constantly have scope creep? Do they constantly have their PO reprioritizing their backlog? Make sure that you write down these impediments, you write down this inconsistency, these things that are currently affecting their outcome flow and competency or not. Make sure that you write those down so that when you're having your one-on-one meeting with them, you bring this up and ask the team members, how can you help them? Remember, Scrum Master, you're a leader, okay? You're not a manager, you're not a micromanager. You are a leader. You're there to help the team members work better. You're there to remove impediments. You're there to recommend. You're there to influence, all right? Let's go to the next point. So building rapport from the very first day that you start, make sure that you're building relationships, all right? Because you just never know who could help you. You just never know who will be a very good ally to you. So make sure that you're talking very professionally, you're asking for help when need be, you're respectful. Make sure that you take account of that, all right? Connect with your team members on an individual level. Set up one-on-one meetings, okay? If your stakeholders are internal, make sure you set up meetings with your stakeholders to get to know them. Set up meeting with your PO, right? So that the PO and the stakeholders could work with you so that you guys could create a clear vision. You establish a clear vision and you define the communication, right, of that clear vision to your team, right? It's going to help your team work better when they have a clear vision. Ensure everyone understands the goals and the priorities of the company, right? Establish open lines of communication and foster a collaborative environment. Be the person that people would like to reach out to when they need help and they feel safe reaching out to. You shouldn't be the kind of person that when they reach out to you, you're upset. No, be open and make people feel welcome, okay, when they come to ask for help. A working agreement. The benefits of a working agreement provides a clear and shared understanding of what's expected each sprint and what's expected for each team member, right? To improve collaboration and increase transparency among team members. Remember, one of the pillars of Scrum is transparency. Scrum has 3 pillars: transparency, inspection, and adaptation. Make sure you're incorporating this in all the ceremonies. Make sure that the team members are transparent and open with one another. Okay, back to the working agreement. Your working agreement, you should discuss about how you want your acceptance criteria to be written, right? Do you want a scenario-based acceptance criteria or list-based acceptance criteria? How should your stories be written? Should your stories be written in a user's perspective? That is actually the most recommended way, the recommended way of writing user stories from the user's perspective. It goes as such: as a user, I want to do dash for so and so reason, right? You have the user, the reason, so you have the user, who's the customer. You have what they want to be done and the reason why they want that thing to be done. So it's a 3-in-1 kind of format, okay? 3 main things have to be in a user story. Sorry, I was rambling. So when your team members, you and your team members should also discuss bugs, right? If your team members did maybe a system integration testing and they realized that there was a bug, what should the team do? Inquire if the company has like what their processes are for bug fixes, right? Do they have a tech enablement team that handles bugs, handles vulnerabilities, handles upgrades? Ensure that you are asking those questions, all right? And yeah, you include that in your working agreement. And who reviews design? Talk about design. What kind of work is your team members working on? Does their work require them to design, and who reviews that design before they could start working on it, right? Research task. How should we work on research? Are we making research one story point, two story points? How should we address research? What are some vital informations that need to be in each research story? So you need to also establish like working hours, estimation method. How should the sprint be run? What day does the sprint start? What day does the sprint start for other team members? Is this a safe environment? Is this just a scrum environment? Like, you need to ask these questions and make sure that you're writing everything down. All right. Okay. So when your 3 days have elapsed, and you've created your working agreement, make sure you set up workshops, right? You're setting up workshops to establish a foundation, a Scrum foundation. So you're helping your new team members understand what Scrum is, understand the framework, understand their roles, understand the Scrum processes, understand their responsibilities, right? Provide guidance and support to ensure a smooth transition into the team. So, driving the Scrum ceremonies. So, before you set up your Scrum ceremonies, before you set up the meetings, inquire from other team members if everybody has starts their sprint on the same day, right? Because most companies want all teams to have their sprint starting on the same day for uniformity, right? So it's uniform across the board. So first of all, get that. First of all, inquire about that before you start setting up your meetings, right? And then you set up your daily scrum, your sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective, right? If your team is not familiar with the scrum ceremonies, set up extra workshops to make sure that they really understand, and maybe start with the daily scrum on the first week. But please check with your supervisor to see what your company's standards are. Okay, I'm just speaking from my experience. It's not the final rule. It's just me. I'm sharing from my experience, okay, what I did. And then when you're attending each meetings, right, make sure you're identifying and addressing impediments that are hindering the team's progress. Advocate for the team members, right? When you're going into these leadership meetings, make sure that you're advocating for your team members, okay? Make sure you're coaching your team members. Make sure you're mentoring them on the Agile principles, Scrum values, Scrum pillars, Scrum practices, and self-organization, right? Because the ultimate goal is for your team to be a self-organizing team. So make sure you're coaching them early on these practices. Encourage continuous improvement and foster a culture of learning. Let your team members feel free to ask questions, feel free to ask help, have the courage to say, I don't think I can handle this work because of so and so reason. Promote that kind of work environment, okay? Then make sure that you promote transparency as well. You want your team members to be open and transparent with one another. Ensure that information is shared effectively so that everyone has access to the necessary resources, right? So this is all that I had for you guys today. If you want me to make more of these videos, just put in the comments section and let me know what you want to see next. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you feel like I provided so much value and I just touched your heart and you're so impressed, and yeah, just cash up me at dollar maison ducon, and I really appreciate your gifts. Okay, this helps me know that I'm doing a good job, and this helps me know that I'm impacting you on your Agile journey. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.